We done it, we hit 4,000 subscribers on the channel, thank you all very much. But welcome back to another video. Obviously by the thumbnail and title you'll notice that we're not welding the car this week unfortunately. Although it is completely stripped down, ready to be welded. All the panels are here full welded in the car, so it's all ready. But unfortunately, due to the weather and the time of the year with Christmas and New Year, we've not managed to get it welded just yet. But what we're going to be doing in today's video is what lies under here. The engine. We're going to be giving it a service, changing the oil, changing the oil filter, air filter, checking the spark plugs and stuff, and then we're also going to be painting it to give it a right freshen up and get it looking nice again. So let's get into it. So here is the mighty engine bay off the Mark 1 Nova. Now as you can see, it is not pretty, it's pretty scruffy and it definitely needs a freshen up. But as you can see, if I take the oil cap off, it's actually not that bad, the current oil that's in it. I mean, you can see that's pretty golden for the age of the car. I don't know when the oil was last changed, but it looks no bad for what it is. So the first job of the day was actually to get some new oil and the rest of the service parts. Once I'd picked the new service kit up, I could get back to the car and crack that sump plug. Now as you can see, clear as day, there is the sump and the sump plug, pretty easy to reach. I then used a 19mm socket on a ratchet to loosen off the sump plug, but this thing was on tight as anything. What the hell? And although that wasn't the most gracious way to loosen the bolt, it did end up working, and now I can take it off by my hand. Nice. That was quite clean. That's pretty black though. It looked alright on the oil, on the sort of cap, but that looks pretty black coming out now. Yummy. I then left the car for a little bit to let as much of that old oil drain out as much as possible, because it wasn't the nicest of stuff ever. I then refitted the bolt back in, just using the same method, but the other way about. It was now time to remove that old oil filter, and luckily it was right at the front of the engine. I then got the specific oil filter remover tool, went under the car and managed to remove it from there, which made it much easier, but it was very, very loose. Wow, that's very loose. Very, very loose. There we have it. I then took the new oil filter out of its box and used some of that old oil to put around that rubber ring just before putting it on. I could then fit it back up to the car, which is really easy. You're literally just screwing it onto a thread by your hand, and that's all you need. And with oil filters, you don't want to tighten them up too much, so all you have to do is hand tighten them. I went as much as I could with my hand, and then that was it. And now that we had drained that old oil out, it was time to fill it up with some new stuff. So I've got some triple QX 5W40 here, and this specific engine should take about 3 litres. So let's see if we can get it bang on. Of course, it wouldn't be me without spilling some of the oil on the engine. After leaving the oil to settle into the engine for a little bit, I could then take the dipstick out and check where our levels were at. And they ended up being bang on, so that was perfect. I did actually end up removing the spark plugs as well, and unfortunately they were a little bit burnt, but I gave them a little bit of a clean up just for the moment because I couldn't get any spark plugs in time for this video. But they will be replaced once I can get some on order. And that is the oil change complete on the Nova. Obviously I've got an air filter as well in here, but because we're going to be painting the engine, I'll get that all painted first and then we can chuck the filter in at the end. So first things first, for getting this engine stripped down, we'll get the air filter off because it's a big massive muckle thing. We'll get that off. So yeah, it's now time to strip some of the bigger parts off of this engine to get it ready for paint. Now we are going to be doing this without removing the engine, like what I've done on my Ford Escort. This just makes it a bit less time consuming and you get some amazing results still. So first things first, I used some heavy degreaser on that engine bay. that engine bay was looking much fresher, and now I could start sanding down the engine block to get ready for some paint. I was using some high temperature satin black paint, and it was as easy as brushing it on. Once the block was painted, I could get on with sanding down that old airbox. I then gave the airbox a good clean off with some panel wipe and then made a makeshift booth, and it was time to prime it. After giving the whole airbox a good few coats of primer, this is how it was looking, and now it was time for some paint. But before we start painting the airbox, if you are enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, because a massive 76% of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed. So if you can do that, that would mean a lot. Thank you all for your support, and now let's paint that airbox. With this first coat, I'm not going too heavy with the paint so that the next coat has something to stick to. And after a few more coats of that satin black paint, this is how the airbox is looking. It looks so much better than that rusty mess that it was before. But we still have to paint the cap for it, so let's do that. So again, with the top part of the airbox, I was going lightly over it with the first coat, so the second coat had something to grip to, and then with the last coat, you can see how heavy I'm putting it on. Right, so I've just removed the rocker cover from the Nova, and it's in not bad condition, and even underneath as well, it's pretty clean. So I've got a wire brush on a drill, and I'm going to clean up all this edge, because I've ordered a new gasket for the rocker cover as well, just to give that a change to make sure that's all tip-top shape as well. And then we can get onto the actual face of it, and then we're going to give it a nice wee paint job. So let's do this. And after giving the rocker cover a good run over with a wire wheel, this is how it was looking. And now we could put some etch primer onto there. With a good few coats of primer on, this is how it was looking. It looked pretty much brand new, and now it was time for some paint. And again, with the first coat of black paint, I was making sure to go over the rocker cover lightly, so that the second coat had something to stick to. With the second coat, you can see I'm going a lot heavier now, making sure to get a good coverage over it and get a nice finish as well. And then with the final coat, we were pretty much doing the same thing as on the second coat. It's pretty much the same as spraying 2K paint through a spray gun, but you're doing it with an aerosol. And if you're wondering what I done with the bolts for the rocker cover, well, I done this. I put them into the vise and filed them all down to make them look nice and shiny. So they went from this to this. Yep, I'm a proper weirdo. Okay, that is the rocker cover dry. It looks pretty nice, pretty fresh, but obviously I went a bit boring with the colours this time compared to the Escort anyway. With the Escort we had colour matched the rocker cover, but with this we've just went satin black like the rest of the engine block. But I've got something to make it pop a wee bit more. I have this, a file. This is the only one I could find. It's absolutely tiny, so it might be here a while, but at least we can be more intricate with it and do a better job. So let's do it. Well, maybe using the world's smallest file wasn't the greatest idea because it was taking absolutely ages, so I ended up getting the grinder out, and don't worry, it's not got a cutting disc on there, it's just lightly grazing over the surface of the paint to get it back to bare metal. And you can see just how much easier that's coming back to bare metal for us. And after going over the rocker cover a couple of times with the sander, this is how it was looking. Not bad for my first ever attempt at that, and I'm really happy with it. I also sanded and polished the oil cap as well, and that came out amazing. Look at the shine on that. I did also use some silver paint to paint parts like the throttle body. And after fitting the rocker cover back onto the car, we can now put on that big airbox. This thing looks so fresh now. We can get that back on. All connected up, that's there. And now we can get the new air filter itself as well. And look at the difference. This is the new one and that is the old one. Yep, definitely needed changed. So let's get this in. That's the wrong size. Ah, that's the wrong size. Yep, so a bit of a mistake made when buying the air filter, so if any of you know where I can get the proper one for this car, please let me know. And until I can find the right air filter for this car, I've just put the original one back in for the moment. It's not ideal, but I'll have to do it at the moment while it sits on the driveway. So it's now been a couple of days since we fitted everything back to the engine, but some of you eagle-eyed viewers out there might notice that something massive is missing, and it would be this, the distributor cap and the HT leads. So if you take a closer look at these, they're pretty corroded and they just don't look great. So I bought something. Ta-da! Red HT leads. These are actually meant to be better as well and get more spark and stuff or whatever. So we've got these to fit. They're going to look so much nicer and just finish the engine bay off that wee bit. So let's get these on. I could now clip that distributor cap back into place and then see where the original HT leads lined up to and then change them out with the red ones. So the way I found it easiest to do this was just going shortest to longest with the HT leads, and it was a pretty easy job to do. Yeah. And that is the last piece of the puzzle added on, the red HT leads. They look much better now, and obviously the Dizzy cap as well. So that is the engine pretty much complete, so are you ready to have a look? you might have noticed that I did not paint the gearbox, and the only reason for that is because there's so much clutter around it. I will go back to it and give it a better clean than I did this time, but for now we're leaving it. You also might have noticed the rusty holes in the engine bay as well, but they'll be getting welded up and painted anyway, so don't worry about that. They'll be looking fresh pretty soon. But now we need to check if this thing actually runs. Oh no, it's not starting. And right here, by the look on my face, I wasn't sure if this thing was actually going to run. I thought it wasn't getting fuel or something. But of course it started. It was just a bit of a cold battery with all this minus weather we're having. Seems to be running pretty well. It sounds like it's idling pretty nice as well. Ideal, that's perfect. Yes! Well, there we have it. Unfortunately, that does bring us to the end of this week's video, but I hope you did enjoy it. Now, I know we weren't getting the car welded, but unfortunately, due to this stuff right here, that's not been possible. But I'm hoping that next week we can get that all done, and or at least a bit of it, so that's the plan. But we still managed to get quite a bit of progress in this video. Now, I know painting the car doesn't help it out mechanically, but we got the service done on it, so it's all fresh under there now, and it should be running perfect. But once again, I want to thank you all for 4,000 subscribers. It really does mean a lot. Thank you all for the support on the first video of the series as well. It really does mean a lot. So I will be doing a giveaway soon for 4,000 subscribers. I'm not quite sure what we'll be giving away yet, but make sure to look out for it. Thank you all very, very much for watching this video. Happy New Year. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Please like this video, comment down below and subscribe to the channel if you're new or you're watching my videos and you're not subscribed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.